The Galactic Council chamber was quiet, reverent, as representatives of every known species in the galaxy gathered to address the growing problem on the fringes of explored space. They had debated for centuries, passed countless resolutions, conducted research, and sponsored initiatives. Yet still, the reports came in, scattered but increasingly frequent, like the ticking of an ancient clock, counting down to something nobody wanted to confront. Humanity was losing its patience. Few species truly understood the implications. Some dismissed it entirely. After all, what could the humans do that hadn't been done already? They were a mere upstart species, aggressive and ambitious, but surely bound by the same limitations that governed every other civilization. Or so they thought. The warning signs had been there. Humanity had entered the galactic community like a storm, surprising everyone with their rapid development, adaptability, and fierce independence. They brought technology and innovation, ideas that pushed the boundaries of what other species thought possible. But they also brought a strong sense of justice, and when they joined the council, they'd made it clear, they had certain lines they would not tolerate being crossed. The galaxy, in its arrogance, had ignored those lines. In a remote sector, on a small, verdant planet orbiting a distant star, a Tarka mining operation was in full swing. The Tarkans were an ancient race, long established in the Council, known for their skill in manipulating planetary resources. They saw planets as little more than material assets, and this lush world teeming with plant and animal life was rich with materials they could use. To them, it was nothing more than a resource hub to strip and abandon. But this planet had been one of the rare few adopted by the humans. They called it Eden's Vale for its incredible biodiversity, its misty jungles, and its abundant wildlife. Though it lay far from Earth, humans had nurtured it, encouraged its ecosystem to thrive. For them, it was a sanctuary, a testament to their love of life in all forms. The Tarkans knew this, of course, but they didn't care. They had centuries of superiority over humans, and what was one small planet to a civilization that spanned hundreds of systems? They continued their work without a second thought, gouging massive trenches into the earth, erecting processing plants that belched black smoke into the sky, and driving entire species toward extinction. Then came the warning. It was simple, almost casual, a diplomatic missive dispatched from the nearest human outpost. The message was short, pointed, and precise. Cease operations on Eden's Vale, or face the consequences. The Tarkans laughed. They ignored the message. Days later, a small human fleet arrived in orbit. It was no larger than a standard patrol group, armed with only basic weapons by galactic standards. Hardly a threat to the massive Tarkan industrial complex. The Tarkans did not respond. The humans did not ask again. The Tarkans on the ground barely had time to register the roaring of the engines overhead before the first bombs hit. The human ships bombarded the Tarkan processing plants, tearing through their defenses with startling ease. They targeted not just the facilities but the Tarkans themselves, destroying every outpost, every transport, every mining drill in sight. The message was clear: humans were no longer willing to negotiate. Within hours, Eden's Vale was silent once more, the ground littered with the debris of Tarkan technology, smoldering in the heat of battle. The surviving Tarkans managed to send a distress signal, but they received no answer. The humans had taken control of the planet, and they did not intend to relinquish it. The galaxy reeled. Incidents had occurred before, skirmishes over territory or trade routes, but this was different. This was an attack, and the Tarkans demanded retribution. They called for an emergency council session, rallying their allies, insisting that humanity be held accountable for what they called unprovoked aggression. Humanity's representative, Ambassador Tolia Grayson, sat in the council chambers, her face impassive as the accusations flew. She listened quietly until, finally, the council chair turned to her. "Ambassador Grayson, how do you respond to these claims?" Tolia rose, her gaze sweeping the gathered representatives. Her voice, when she spoke, was calm, but there was a steel beneath it, a hardness that many had not heard before. "Let me be clear," she began. "Humanity has stood by for centuries, watching as this council has allowed countless worlds to be destroyed, countless species to be driven to extinction, all in the name of progress. We have tried diplomacy. We have tried compromise. But we will not tolerate the destruction of life any longer. A ripple of disbelief spread through the chamber, but Talia continued, her tone growing sharper. Eden's Vale was a sanctuary, a place of life, and you desecrated it. We warned you. We gave you a chance to stop. You chose not to listen. So we took action. The Tarkhan ambassador rose, his face twisted in anger. Are you suggesting that humans have the authority to act as they please, regardless of council law? Talia's eyes narrowed. No. We are stating that the preservation of life is no longer negotiable. There was a pause, a stunned silence as her words sank in. She continued, her voice carrying a conviction that sent a chill through the room. We have watched your empires grow fat on the exploitation of innocent worlds, seen species harvested, habitats destroyed, entire ecosystems annihilated without a second thought. We will stand by no longer. We will protect life by force if necessary. Another murmur rippled through the room, growing louder. Some of the elder races dismissed her speech as empty bluster, but others looked at her with a dawning understanding, a sudden realization that humanity was truly ready to act. Over the following months, reports began trickling in from all corners of the galaxy. Human fleets were moving through previously unprotected sectors, setting up planetary defense grids, establishing no mining zones, and evicting corporations from ecologically fragile planets. They acted swiftly, with no warning, and any who tried to stop them faced the same fate as the Tarkhans on Eden's Vale. At first, the other species tried to resist. But humanity had spent centuries quietly honing their technology, developing systems that surpassed even the oldest civilizations in power and sophistication. Every attempt to interfere was met with overwhelming force, a precision that left no doubt about their capabilities. The galactic community was at a loss. Humanity was still outnumbered, but their resolve and their willingness to act had shaken the galaxy to its core. Many species began to reconsider their stance, wondering if perhaps humanity was right, if perhaps the time had come to change their ways. As the years passed, the galaxy began to heal. Former industrial worlds were transformed into preserves, monitored by human rangers who ensured that no harm came to the ecosystems they had fought so hard to protect. Ancient forests were allowed to regrow, oceans to recover. Slowly, the scars left by centuries of exploitation began to fade. And the galaxy remembered. They remembered the moment humanity had drawn a line, the moment they had stood against an entire galaxy in defense of life itself. Every species, from the smallest insect to the grandest civilization, would never forget the day that humans finally lost their patience and, in doing so, saved them all.